tickets, exercise. I mean, plus you get to go to heaven. Viagra, like the pill just never dies off. It's testosterone galore. Imagine. Imagine everyone. I'll tell you something interesting about Islam, right? So Gabriel came to Muhammad and saw him sleeping and went back up and said, "Oh Allah, your beloved is sleeping." God and Allah said, "No problem, let him rest." Went, sent him back the second time and came back and said, "Oh Allah, your beloved is busy fulfilling his desires." Allah was a little peeved and he said, "Okay, no problem. He deserves. He's only human, right?" And sent him back the third time and saw that Muhammad was busy with two of his wives, Safiya and Aisha, in an orgy. And he back, what do I do? He was busy pleasing his wives. And go back and tell him I've 7% the fucking massage. And he story. So, shit happens.
Dude.
Islam is really easy, folks. It's really easy.
Damn.
It's funny. I feel kind of, I feel like I feel ironic. Let's put it that way, right? When the Abbasids went to get the Mahdi, he went into the suit and they couldn't find him.
Dude, his name is not even Mahdi, Muhammad ibn al-Askari. Like, how the fuck they even changed the name?
Bro, I know, but if I say Muhammad ibn al-Askari in front of a 2-year-old, you're going to give him trouble. I mean, just imagine. Anyway, I'll tell you something even more interesting. When the Abbasids came after the Mahdi, right? The guider, right? The guide. Well, if I slant the word, it's more like the guide, basically.
So, where are you from, bro? Anyway, originally.
Well, I'm the Middle East.
Okay.
Now,
but you're my brother, bro. Anyway, wherever you are,
I'll pay you later, but this is how it goes. So they couldn't find him, and they're still trying to find him. I'm a bit, a bit kind of feel like Hussein betrayed Khamenei. When Khamenei went underground, it didn't take long for the busters to get him. What happened to the Said effect? Didn't work? Somebody needs to get their money back. Right? By the way, just to let everybody know, Khomeini was so destined for glory, he on the toilet. And shit doesn't get more real than that. No pun intended.
Speak to your friends.
Imagine dying
Speak from Illinois, speak your friends.
Imagine, for 5 seconds. Right? For 5 seconds.
Dude, we're talking about Khamenei guy. The ground for about a week more right now. How many days?
Well, look, they're not hiding. They're just trying to find the Mahdi. So
this guy's not like, they have to do it. The smell is everywhere, bro.
They asked Mustafa Khamenei, why did you go underground? He said, I was busy talking to...
And you know what they realized? Mustafa's wife eventually a house of this piece of shit. And she, imagine like Mustafa's wife, is hanging out with another mullah, which is apparently known as the... what the fuck they were doing with each other? Since, Donald Trump announced as some kind of an LGBTQ fucking, I don't know, homosexuality in him. So what you're doing in that part with the groom of Khamenei?
Iran, Khomeini gave a lot of the Sepah members a key, right? A key. And told them, look, as long as you wear this key, when the Iraqis goes basically the highest level of violence,
Yeah,
Right?
Ferdos, Paga Ferdos, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
it doesn't get any bicycle than that. So, what's interesting, one of the soldiers was being very conscious. He was looked at the key and it said "Made in China." Do you know? So, to enter heaven with a key made in China. How?
Ah, bro, if you believe that.
You guys read Khomeini. You know what's interesting? If you guys read Khomeini's book on a serious note, and you can fact check me on this, right? But Mark Zuckerberg can go and take. Khomeini has a book called Tahrir al-Wasila.
Yeah. Okay.
Tahrir al-Wasila means basically the liberties. Let me just translate it very briefly. Basically, the liberties of a Muslim.
Yeah, explain Islam's moralities and the
saying if your wife is under the age of 9 and she or penetration, what you can do is be a bit more libertine. Take your pee out and put it between her and start flying her. Tafkhiz. And that's basically what it is. You know, that's basically what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know why Epstein. You have Khomeini, Mohammed. Why is Epstein such a big deal?
Dude, like Epstein was actually trying to imitating Muhammad, trying to copy what he did back in the times, in the current times, and he actually got crucified. You know why? Because women in the United States, you don't go there and do all that fucking crazy shit. You're gonna be crucified for that. But if you're traveling to the Middle East, especially if you're under the Sharia laws, you live a paradise on earth. You didn't need like any behind the scenes deals with IRGC trafficking. As you know, there are like 3 million pages that the DJP just released, and you can see the close ties between Erdogan and Jeffrey Epstein. What they eventually would do is do the king, and also the organs. They used to do business of selling people's organs to, I don't know, Jeffrey or whatever wanted in the West. It was estimated around like $200 million per year. So, what truth to you? If you have one Epstein, have the whole Islamic Republic, which each one of them is some 10x more dangerous than Epstein. I think you would have been pivotal in the prevention of the Islamic takeover. I've said this 2 centuries of silence. Are you talking about that? No, 23 years is fine. His name is Ali Dashti. Ali Dashti published this book in 1937, and I think it is one of the single version, of course. But with today's AI, I think you can get something. That was the guy who actually was terrorized by Muslims, right? Yeah. Well, I wrote this book, or 23 years, which chronicles the emergence of Islam and its progenies and its development with the conquest of Mecca. And of course, he talks about the renunciation that happened because the Arabs wanted to renunciate Islam. They did actually make it. The Arab tribes did leave Islam after Muhammad by like a couple of weeks. But Abu Bakr and the betrothal, pedophile decided that no, we need to suppress this revolt. That was published in
But then it was published again in 1974 until no one kind of back. And I think the Shah was trying to somehow prevent criticism of religion because the majlis, or the council of the religions, were really using people against him at the time, and he didn't want to give kind of cannon fodder. But Ali Dashti, before he passed away, he said something very interesting. He said, if my book was not banned in Iran at the time for political purposes, the Iranian youth would have hanged Khomeini by his intestines. Okay? By his intestines. So, and I find it quite interesting that nobody has heard of someone like Ali Dashti, not even in the most liberal Western universities. So when people say that there were no critics of Islam or that everybody was just a passive consumer of Islam, not really. You guys forget the ethnic diversity in Iran. Iran did not become Muslim until about the late Safavids. Like Islam did not spread. Even the Assyrian historian from Iraq, his name is Juwaydah, he says when it comes to the major assassinations of Muslim leaders and their imposition, many of them were carried out by basically what is now known as Iranian people, or the Iranian people, from Umar to these. How did they know? That's not true. Iran did not become Muslim.
Yo, imagine us mourning Sayyid ibn Ali, the third Imam of Shiayan Dunya. Imagine, I mean, only 1% of the Muslim around the world would know who is Hussein ibn Ali. The rest, they don't even know who the fuck he is, or what the fuck am I even talking. Imagine we as Persians, we were forced to mourn for this guy past 1400 years plus. And it was same. The bloodthirsty rituals for him in Muharram, okay, which he participated in killings and Persian people in Tabaristan, which is the northern side of Iran, which is known as Mazandaran these days. Okay, he and his Hassan ibn Ali, right? By the orders of Omar, directly they wanted to conquer that castle. 700 men. They wanted to fucking give him asylum. They didn't do that. They literally before I go.
When Hussein came to Karbala, it was confronted with his army, basically the specially organized army of the Umayyad Empire, or Umayyad Kingdom later on. And Hussein came into the tent. He was panicking, gasping for air. He said,
"Oh fuck!"
His wife
fucked.
He came into the tent, right? What is it, baby? What do you want? And baby said, "June." And then that's when Hussein was trying to recourse back to Iran and said, "You're bad, happens, man. But you can fact check me on this. When Inessa speaks about this. And this actually is the Islamic version of nationalism in Iran that somehow, we should be more Shiite because Hussein wanted to seek refuge in Qum.
Well, if a guy like me wants to say, fuck Hussein, who was Hussein or who's not to be Hussein? What the fuck is that? Fuck Islam king, fuck this Allah guy.
This is how Khomeini was trying to not shake the nationalism, because new nationalism was, or the idea of nationhood and identity was so deep rooted. That's why they had to adapt these kind of mythologies to convince people that, look, see, Hussein was on your side, but that's not true. Hussein came into the tent and asked, gasping for air,
Dude, he literally simply stole Yazid's baddie. Like back in the time, they were fighting over a bitch named what? Oraina.
Yeah,
the little bitch started.
Nobody should. If you come from any part of the world, right, and you don't like Arabs and you don't like Islam and all of that stuff, you shouldn't claim to be a Sayyid, because Sayyid means that your great grandmother, was busy doing the ooh ah against her will. Don't claim to be a Sayyid, you know. So when Khamenei or others say that we are Sayyid, they're basically saying that we're Arab bastards.
Oh, Alpha. Come up. So apparently, this guy says researcher of what? Comparative
Not
philosophy.
this guy.
And the Quran applies science.
Listen, you know what's interesting about this guy? He sounds like, when he speaks, he says Quran, like, a Persian who learned Arabic in India and decided to go to Madagascar and change his name to Toto. What's going on here?
Did you see, like, these days, I'm seeing Pakis, Afghanis trying to advocate for my country, telling my Persian ass how to fucking defend my country, not to root for the United States, not to be a traitor or whatever. Do you see it these days? A Pakistani or Afghani guys trying to tell my Persian ass how to defend my own country?
I'll tell you this, Pooya. A Pakistani was one day telling me, you guys have no identity, you Middle Easterners are all. I said, listen, some of the lands, some of the histories in the Middle East, they go back thousands of years. I'm talking more than 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 years to the Neolithic. But if we talk about Pakistan,
before,
bro, you go back to 1947.
Don't exist no more.
But I will tell you what a Pakistani is. A Pakistani is a Hindu with a British passport. Have a great day, everyone.
Bro, you're killing
a lie. And I've been teaching over 10 years. Now, one time, going on 12 years. Now, one time. You have never seen me drink anything on a live. Never seen me eat anything on a live. You've never seen me eat a meal. I don't even think you ever heard me cough on a live. Have you ever heard me sneeze on a live?
God bless Iran, United States, and Israel. Have a good night, guys.
That's why they have to adapt and create these kind of mythologies to convince people that, look, see, and then.
I mean, like the drones that drop bombs are like the drones that you see, like hobby drones being used, and like there's no way you can like let them because like they're so small and they're like wire guided. And there's a video that's going around. They're just like flying openly and freely U.S. base in Iraq and just crash into a building. And there's nothing they could have done about it. It's like imagine being in Iraq thinking you safe.
Oh yeah,
You got the air defense. Right? You got the air defense system or something, and the drone just flies into your building. That's some scary shit, bro.
Bro, why couldn't they put some biological weapon drones, just fly like 1,000 over and just drop them?
Don't feel, bro.
I was sitting here thinking, like, bro, like, why do you need these things just to, like, blow things up when you could just drop some chemicals somewhere, just like a little bitty.
You got someone knock on your door, bro.
Thank you for the advice, Oleg. Oleg's my attorney, so this is like should be covered by attorney-client privilege. Eric's also an attorney, so this is like I hope. Oh, well, they're not speaking right
please,
now.
please stop.
I'm probably.
I will fucking kill.
Oh,
The Palantir software is like beeping red right now. So.
Yeah, that was the Wexler, right? Yeah, that was the Wexler position. That was so funny, bro. Eric, what the Democrats are doing, the Wexler at his house, and they caught the lawyer on the hot mic. Was like, if you fucking answer another question, or he said
He's like, he leaves thing. He's like, if you answer any words, I will fucking kill you.
You gotta
And then he gives him back.
Nah, I heard more.
Oh, you heard him? Oh,
Yeah.
Mom either.
I didn't have to. Yeah, that's the common sentiment.
There's a fight
They
words.
don't know when to shut up.
Yeah.
I think the lawyer wanted to say that to him in his congressional hearing he was in. So, did you guys watch it? It was weird because it seemed like he was getting like happy about
You
the
saw that, Eric?
Yeah,
It was like reminiscing, like you had a flashback of
I remember back in my day.
wow, his lawyer, whoever it was, had to take the papers away from him. Like, oh, shit.
And then he grabbed it back. He grabbed it back.
Exactly. I think it was the picture of
sure.
it was him and Epstein in the pool. That's been some good times.
You know, at the range of the Iranian drones, their size. So they vary in terms of range from 5 kilometers to 4,000 kilometers. And in terms of their size, they could be as wide as 15 meters, which roughly would be about 40 feet, big ones. So I think even if there's going to be an attack, as a drone attack on the U.S., it is going to be a small one. By definition, they cannot carry a big load. It would be, again, I don't have, I'm not trying to.
You said 30? Don't put 30 on me. I ain't there yet,
Thank
man.
you, Jesus. Y'all ain't got no kids. Thank you. The more we can save humanity. Ooh, I'm so glad.
Afternoon. Get in there. Remember, you can write in a candidate for Congress. Please write in John Kitover.
On this.
Or even taking out the supreme leader and the very many under him. I think just some faces were removed from the whole scenario, and the system stayed intact, which I would say is a failure on their part.
Big time. Somebody did not do their research on how much like the Shias like value martyrdom, right? Like that whole attack is that it completely backfired, I think, and it's probably only just going to unite the Iranians.
But we actually did our research. Like U.S. National Intelligence clearly warned Trump against this. They said it's not. But if you remember, Trump does not like being contradicted. Once something comes out of his mouth, so many times he throws the government under the bus. He criticizes his own FBI he criticizes his own attorney general if they don't do what they want. His own intelligence director, right? So they came out and said that this is not going to happen. This is going to be difficult. But then once he made up his mind, and this was really on a 4-hour flight back from Texas, that he was reluctant. He was probably listening to the intelligence. And then he had a phone call supposedly with Netanyahu and Mohammed bin Salman. And he says, okay, I'm giving the order. So our intelligence basically did not suggest that regime change was going to be possible. But you know how Trump operates.
That's assuming that is the one who made the call here, which I don't think is what happened. I think this is all Israel taking the lead and doing.
Well, yes, of course, but eventually, see, Trump has to come from the president, right? The order has to come from the president, especially question of approval. So absolutely, Israel. And not just Israel, but let's not downplay the role of Saudi Arabia.
I think more of like blackmail and pressure is kind of the factors that went into the decision. More so than like Chicago. How it's gonna take and what's the best approach. I think it's more just like they're forced to go along with the insanity of whatever these Israelis are.
Yeah, the chief negotiator, the person who mind-boggling is still served as if like a diplomat, was Jared Kushner. He was the one who went around. Remember, he was the one negotiating with the Iranians. But Jared Kushner has two real reliable friends. One is Netanyahu, the other is Mohammed bin Salman. So it was his son-in-law who perhaps eventually, convinced him to basically go for it. He was the guy with the
when I say numbers, I mean it. I'm John Kitover, and I know how to keep a budget. When I say numbers, I mean it. I'm John Kitover, and I know how to keep a budget balanced and a sense of humor intact.
There's so
Oops,
much hierarchy within the system. Like Ghost is pointing out something.
The sense of humor intact.
To the way like the system is set, right? Each like the factions in each operates as an individual unit. Did you guys know that? Each consult the other to go forward and carry out an operation because each is given their own duty on an ideology, right? And these are just carried out
so stupid. What is this person even talking
under
about?
extreme pressure, etc. This is something I don't think they knew of it even, like how a democracy works, which was the whole model under Plato's the Republic.
Holy shit!
Always just want.
A whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, "You only have I known of all the families."
Client does it for me. Who? What did? Oh, the cowboy. My client. Oh, wow.
I want to see up in the feed. Just,
He's gonna.
in the middle of the streets. Or a guy. I don't be Muslim.
It's really disappointed.
Right.
What kind of?
Annie, bro, you straight my cousin, dog.
Sometime soon. However, it's gotten very, oh my gosh, 10.
That's why they have to adapt and create these kind of
Instruments, they first knives, becoming them smaller and smaller. Knowledge, just as fire doesn't burn itself. So there's always contrary image, but aware of the time sequence. Here's our. Fuck your name is Andrew. Life is a system. What is it that makes you attractive? This person kind of we're being grateful. What do they do? Teach you to be something. You'll never see it. What do you gotta have? My fellow citizens. Flippin' pancakes, we are flippin' pancakes, skippin' work breaks, damn I got a headache. Flippin' pancakes, we are flippin' pancakes, drippin' dippin' handshakes, catch me when a deal break. Flippin' we are flippin' pancakes, skippin' work breaks, damn I got a headache. Flippin' pancakes. Flippin' pancakes, we are flippin' pancakes, skippin' work breaks, damn I got a headache. Madam Speaker, fellow citizens watching at home. For too long, Washington has been run by career politicians who talk tough back in Illinois and then vote with the party bosses here. Jared LaHood is one of them. Madam Speaker, fellow citizens watching at home. I'm lifting the emergency order.
Chicago belongs to
Chicago students people.
Mayor John Kitover is known for a packed schedule.
I'm in the middle of the desert, and look at this. An honest-to-goodness tyrannosaur walk. See hearts everywhere. For Chicago drivers and Chicago, you deserve.
Hey, do you need a place to worship this Sunday that focuses on Jesus Christ?
Yeah, I do, baby.
Never trust these kind of people. King of memes. He's the king of memes.
harm that government through peaceful means. The end goal would be something in the form of like a constitutional theocracy or something like that. That's that. We just recognize them, take all the sanctions off, be a normal country. I think that would end everything.
Yeah, you explained the end, and I appreciate that. But I was just the means to get there in terms of
diplomacy.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
You will start talking to them.
Yeah, we'll stop bombing you if you agree to come to the table.
So, and again, as you were answering my question, so what would be your promise to them? I guess you mentioned that you'll stop bombing and they will come to the table negotiating. So what? I have an idea. Basically, we're talking about the production of enrichment of uranium.
No. I wouldn't even discuss that. I wouldn't care. Sure. I would tell them that we don't even care anymore. That's between you and Israel. Between us.
So okay, basically you will tell them you don't.
It ain't between us, dog. That's between you
and then what do you
and Israel. We ain't got to do.
To constitutional theocracy. Is that like you can have a ceremonial religious leader, but he has no political power? Like it has to be a democracy.
Then what if they said fuck off?
Like, hey, shall continue. Taxpayers dollars of America.
So I thought the Iranians had to do, bro. So this is the question that the reporter asked. And they were like, well, let's go down memory lane. First time we were negotiating, 6 months ago, we were supposed to meet in Moscow, and they did the 12-day war. This time we're in Geneva. Bahrain is facilitating. Negotiation is going well. Everybody's saying it's well. 28th. Now they want to regroup, tell us come back to the negotiation table so they can replenish their munitions and then attack us again? That was a good response. Like, fool me once, fool me twice. What the hell?
That's why you launch a tactical nuke on one of their silos buried deep into the mountains of Tabriz, and that functions as a show of force to China and Russia. I mean, we've all international credibility. At this point, we should just go full-blown imperialist and just, boots on the ground and everyone dies that's in power, and then we cut up the country and steal all the resources.
Dude, when I was watching Trump's press conference,
just wipe it off there. You call it preemptive strike.
Yeah, bro.
A 3 times preemptive. So Trump's press conference, bro. And I was sitting here, I was like, bro, like, as a strategist, like, is this dude really playing 4D chess? Like, really using the Iranian, like, conflict, like, in the next phase to,
invade Cuba?
No, to exit NATO, bro. Where it's like to put so much pressure on the EU. Like, so what you're seeing him do now is say, look, we do all this for them. And I told you guys, when we need them, they're not going to be around. You see what I've been saying? We do all this for them, and they do constantly just repeats it over and over. And people are going to start thinking that way. They're going to start looking at the EU when he talks about NATO increasing their spending from 2% to 5%. They're playing that the Secretary of NATO, saying, if you guys need to be able to defend yourself in America, good luck. You're wrong. They just keep playing that clip, bro. And it's just like, now he's putting the EU on underneath the hot lamp. Like American taxpayers have supported you guys. President just needs you guys to go do a little bit. I think the war is done already. Just go do the little thing down there at the strait. And everybody's saying no. So let's see how many people bend the knee.
They say yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't say yeah. 2 days we're supposed to meet in
well, you gotta
Moscow,
look at like
and they did the 12-day war.
Like the
This
headline
time we're parade. This facility negotiations going well. Everybody's saying it's going well.
February, 2 weeks before
And they bombed us on February 28th.
And they denied it.
Now to regroup.
Like the prime
Tell us
minister
come back to the negotiation
one day
table
he said we're not
so
going to
they
be
can
involved.
reload or replenish their munitions and then attack us again.
And then if you look at their
That was a good response.
Trump has
Fool me once, fool me twice.
bad. The special relationship no longer.
That's why you launch
You know what I mean? Like there's Rocky.
One of their
I mean,
silos buried deep into the mountains of debris, and the show force to China
other countries
and
like
Russia. I mean, we've already lost all international credibility. At this point, we full-blown imperialist and just, boots on the ground in Iran, everyone dies, that's in power, and then we cut up the country and all the resources.
Dude, I watched a press conference
that's your
wife and doctor. And he promised to preemptive bring everything right. Yeah, right. 3 times preemptive. So I was watching Trump's press conference, bro. And I was sitting here, I was like, bro, like,
They're too busy flexing their Air Force.
is this dude really playing 40 guys? Like, is he really using the Iranian, conflict, in next phase to basically, invade Cuba? No, to exit NATO, bro. It's like to put so much pressure on the to so what you're seeing him do now is basically say, look, we do all this for them, and I told you guys, when we need them to be around. See what I'm saying? We do all this for them, and they do nothing for us. And you just constantly just repeats it over and over. And people are gonna start thinking that way. They're gonna start looking at the EU when he talks about NATO increasing spending from 2% to 5%. They're playing that, the Secretary of NATO saying, if you guys think that you guys can do this in America, good luck. You're wrong. It's just like, now he's putting the EU underneath the hot lamp.
So that
Americans
reaction to that.
have supported you guys for a while. Now the president just needs you guys to go do a little bit of thing. The war's done already. Go do a little thing down there at the strait. And everybody's saying no. So it's negotiating 6 months ago, 2 days, we were supposed to meet in Moscow. And they did the 12-day war.
I think that
The brain is facilitating negotiations going well. Everybody's saying it's going well. And they bombed us on February 28th. Now they want to regroup. Tell us come back to the negotiation table so they can reload or replenish their munitions and then attack us again. That was a good response.
Occupying.
Fool me once, fool me twice with them.
Germany, France, these areas.
That's why you launch.
You got to consider them. The type of movements that you make around the world, especially when there's such a significant amount of them that, your group now. It could be upsetting populations. People could start deploying terror cells that exist in the UK, riot or start burning things down because they're sympathizing with Iran, right?
Yeah, that's a valid point, actually. That must be taken into consideration, particularly with the expansion of the Muslim immigrants to European countries. And they're vocal, they being the Muslim immigrants. And they could become reactionary and cause trouble in terms of terrorist activities in those countries. Yeah, I'm sure that goes into calculus of is not going to dominate it would not be the major impetus for the, like, for example, for UK and France, and in some indirect way helping with the war. That's not the main thing, but certainly would be a consideration which I did not think about.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of people that are just like, I'm really glad you guys are doing that, but just don't involve me. I don't be a recipient of one of these drones or one of these ballistic missiles, so I'm out. So I think a lot of people are just waiting for Trump to leave.
So I'm just asking the same question I ask initially, what would I do as a president? So I think my major the major reasons, the one that we know of, there are three things. One is, of course, the enrichment of uranium, and they're dead set apparently to accomplish that. And I think the main reason being actually, just from my way of thinking, or not my Iranian, I'm not saying American and Israeli, Iran, Islamic developed into a war. So we'll have it on North Korea on our hands in the Middle East. That's one serious concern, threat. I mean, that's the way I think they think, they being the US and Israel. In fact, is the production of these long-range ballistic missiles that potentially could reach Eastern European countries as well, perhaps. And the drones, it's just same categories. And then the third one being this serious war proxy region, which has destabilized, unstabilized the region but those would capitulate, basically say, look, we're just going to stop that. And that would be a good starting point negotiating. But I don't think the Iranians would offer this concessions actually to. They give something. And also we add the security of the state of kind of condition. I think it would be necessary to have that. That should come first. And with the Iranians agree to any of to pull back or slow down or to stop doing this, and I'm not sure.
What about the fact that the Americans installed the Shah? Everybody kind of goes post Shah, but that's why that in essence we just screwed things up, and we created there's an argument to be made, in my opinion, that we created the big mess that we don't like. Every time we kind of stick our thumb in, I say I'm American, so I don't take personal responsibility, but it seems like Syria just to destabilize. I think we're a bigger destabilizer, at least equal, Iran in the whole region.
I think you're right.
You know how to interpret silence. I thought, well, nobody here, everybody is like dropping a lead balloon that I used to say in the old days. Yeah, but it seems conveniently, because I'm old enough, I remember all that shit. And it seems very convenient that that's never brought up. So, and what is it? I guess decapitating the leader. I mean, there's a lot of obvious. We're in the age of obviously all the propaganda both ways, and I think he just screwed up. Trump just screwed up big time. He underestimated
underestimated it. The neocons, I'll call them the neocons, they're very happy with this because this is part of that take over and destabilize all the Arab countries or Muslim countries, even more so, I would say, because Iran or Persia is not Muslim. But this sounds like a good discussion you guys are having. I like it.
So just probably a minor kind of not a correction, just information. Iran is not is a non-Arab country, but certainly is 5% of people are Shia Muslims. And to what extent they are now, but certainly that is actually the case. So it's a Muslim recognized country, but non-Arab.
Yeah, but there's a lot of enmity between Shia versus Sunni. You would agree with that, right?
Yeah, but that's not the conversation.
Yeah, to just answer, yes, there is ideological perspective in terms of the religion itself and how the Shia sect was formed, and certainly, there's a lot of these wars, issues. You're correct.
And when you say then the Saudi Arabians aren't exactly bad about, well, when it seemed like it was going well, that Iran was getting shackled.
I thought that was unique when you talk about the U.S. and stuff, but really it's a Western concept that started after World War One, where it was empire sided with the wrong people, and even though it's quote unquote modern times, the West historically what winners do. They start divvying up land, and they say this country is this, and here's the borders, and here's going to be the ruler. Did it from a historical stance, but at the same time, they create, the UN that establishes modern rules, conditions that the people that they divided up their land don't play by. They don't believe in. I think that's where the real issue started. You have 700 plus year on empire, and inside of that, I think they created something like 27 countries, just off the top of my not about that, but I think it's around that number. And and then inside of that, like Iraq is the perfect example. Divvy it up into 3 little countries, you create one, and then these 3 factions that have hated each other instantly, you just try to think that they're gonna coexist. So I think it really starts at that. You could also mention British mandate of Palestine, and then them allowing migration from East Jews to go to Palestine, promising them protection, and then World War II happens, and then all of a sudden the UN is created, and British says, hey, we don't want anything to do with this, and you fucking deal with it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's necessarily a U.S. thing, because you were talking about like the Shah and stuff. It's Western trying to bring in a modern concept into a world view. That area is a world where all they believe is divine concept. They don't believe in human concept. They just don't, they reject flat out. And yeah.
Well, I think you made some good points. I hadn't plumbed the depths of my views on it. I stumbled on your room. Not as a big excuse, but I actually pretty much agree with. And you kept it even-handed because of Israel. The whole friggin' mess, right?
I tried.
You did a good job. Are you American?
But
Okay, I'm in Texas.
I'm from Tennessee originally.
Oh,
I'm a non-nationalist. I don't believe.
Oh yeah.
I don't believe that we should start this with Iran. But I am an American, logically, which means when we start something, we need to finish it. We need to get it over with. No,
What does that mean in this case, Mr. Reed?
That's not saying we have to continue bombing.
Okay.
But we do have to, like, I totally open up to diplomatic concepts, like, yeah. So I'm not
That's also, to me, that's also very reasonable, Mr. Religious. You're so religious. So, no, that's not. Are you a libertarian? Would that be the broad stroke?
I'm probably closest to libertarianism.
Yeah, I got some friends in Hampshire. There's a big bunch of that there. And the other fellow, is he Iranian? He's Ghanaian, I guess. Yeah. Well, I like this room because, not everybody's chopping everybody's head off.
That's rather ironic statement.
Well, you got a sense of humor too. It's another good stroke. I'm going to head off any jokes you make in the future. So are you an insomniac? Would you say that?
Who are you addressing?
You, Mr. Non-Religious.
No, I just have a job where I'm on call all the time, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense then. I try to figure it out. I mean, it seems like the unanswered question. I have erratic sleep, so I'm up and at 'em just times during the night and day, just the way I'm put together or had been. I kind of like it actually, but but I think you're probably unusual. I think actually I don't know. Nobody talks about it. So, I've never heard anybody's just unless you really I guess maybe nobody cares. I find it a little fascinating. And some people that are on it all the time, that's the ones I wonder about. They're just, it can be 24 hours, you see their face up there, and most of the time they're talking. So I'm going to start asking because it's a little I'm a curious cat, and that seems incomprehensible how they're just, but I guess maybe regular social media, Facebook people did that. I'm just not used to it because this is the first social media I really got into. To Tennessee or maybe they're there already checking it out from Texas and other places because it's a little easier, quote unquote, to be free there.
So.
Oh yeah.
And we all say that. We all say that. And the problem is that we want to get a point across very quickly. So what we do naturally realize, and I'm not pointing a finger at you, I'm just saying to you.
Oh, no, I know I was wrong, yeah.
Yeah, and people take it, they don't see that, they just see, oh my God, a genocidal statement's come in, we need to quash that quickly because we don't like the sound of it. And I agree with that, but I also just think that we give each other enough time to explain the points we make. So everything.
Yeah, exactly. And
everybody's getting oversensitive and starts fucking kicking off and become.
Well, here's the differentiation that I made you for context. I believe personally, and this is just my opinion, Jews are an ethno-religious group. Christians and Muslims aren't. When I say Muslims that I want to exterminate, I'm only talking about the people who actually practice Islam. So when I say it is that anyone who actually truly follows Islam to the letter, that is a true Muslim, is a fucking ISIS fighter. That is the
that is the conclusion you would come to if you read the Quran, the Hadiths, and the Tafsirs, which is why you see so many people from the Western world, these white, kids from the United States and France, they sit down, they're the lost boys, like Peter Pan's lost boys, and then the Muslims bring it and they give them the Quran and the Hadiths, and they start reading it, and they're like, oh shit, we're supposed to kill the Jews and the Christians and all the disbelievers, and we should go cut all their heads off and murk every one of them. But like, when you're raised in like a Muslim household in like, the United States from a Lebanese family, you read these verses, then you go to your grandmother and you say, hey dad, or your mom, and you say, hey, real quick question, are we supposed to be killing the disbelievers? And they go, no, we don't do that. That's not it. Allah's going to do that, blah, blah. And they just lie to them. They water it all down. And then the reality is, like, most Muslims don't actually practice their religion. So when I say that all the Muslims should be wiped out, I only mean the ones that actually practice Islam. And if they truly practice Islam, then they're just fucking ISIS fighters. If there's some kid that says, oh, I'm Muslim, but he's like eating a bacon cheeseburger, have premarital sex and drinking alcohol, and he's full, and he's got an LGBT awareness flag and stuff like that, or whatever, or pride flag. I don't consider that person a Muslim. Same way with a Christian, when they say, look at the Christians that killed all the Jews or killed all the the Muslims, or went around and like raped little boys and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but if you were to actually practice the tenets of Christianity, nowhere in the New Testament that says that you should be banging kids or cutting people's heads off. But it just, by the basis of the Quran, the Hadiths, and the Tafsirs alone, that is exactly what the fuck it instructs you to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't want to kill the girl wearing a hijab. I don't want to kill anybody. But I'm saying like parallel universe, blah blah, mythical fucking realm of existence, whatever. But like, the girl that working at Starbucks wearing a fucking LGBT tag.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if she's wearing a hijab thing that she is Muslim.
Oversensitive fucking kick and you become.
Well, here's the differentiation that I make. If she would have asked,
I just see what the next 50
I
years
believe
is
personally.
Next 50 years, unless that shit's different.
Jews aren't ethno religious.
I mean, they just have
Christians and Muslims are. When I say Muslims that I want to eliminate, I'm only talking about the people who actually practice Islam. So when I say that, my statement is that anyone who actually truly Islam to the letter of the law, that is a true Muslim, is a fucking ISIS fighter.
Throughout
That is the
parliament,
that is the conclusion you come to if you read the Quran, the Hadiths, and the Tafsirs, which is why you see so many people from the Western world.
You know what I'm talking about?
These
The people that are like
in the United States, and the UK, and France,
like they're stuff like
the lost boys, like Peter Pan's lost boys, and then the Muslims bring them in, and they give them the Quran and the Hadiths, and they start reading it, and they're like, oh shit, we're the Christians and all the disbelievers.
They can line up 1,000 people on the middle of London,
but like,
and sit there
when you're raised in like a Muslim household in the States from a Lebanese family, you read these words of your father, and you say, hey dad, or your mom, and you say, hey, are we supposed to be killing the disbelievers? And they go, no, we don't do that, that's end times, and Allah's going to do that, blah, blah, and they just lie to them, and water. And then the reality is, like, most Muslims don't actually practice their religion. So, yeah, when I say that all the Muslims should be wiped out, I only mean
United States.
they're just fucking ISIS.
The Western world shit. I mean,
there's some kid that says, "Oh, I'm Muslim," but he's like eat the bacon cheeseburger, have premarital sex, and drink. He's bisexual. He's got an LGBT awareness and flag and stuff like that, or whatever. I don't consider it same way with a Christian when they say, well, look at the Christians that killed all the Jews or killed all the the Muslims, or went around and like raped little boys and stuff. I'm like, you practice the tenets of Christianity. There's nowhere in the New Testament that says that you should be banging kids or cutting people's heads off. But just by the basis of the Quran, the Hadith, and the Tafsirs alone.
biological warfare. Yeah, I don't want to kill a girl wearing a hijab. I don't want. Saying like hypothetically parallel universe. Just that. What if it's a mass migration of millions of Muslims to Europe and the United States, conquering us? Yeah, exactly. And that's fucking. Kids, kicking off and. Well, here's a differentiation that I think if you would have asked for. Did you hear about Texas? I believe personally. Texas, they wanted to build a Muslim only. Jews are an ethno-religious community. Christians and Muslims aren't. When I say Muslims that I want to exterminate, actually all communities will actually practice Islam within this community. When I say that. My statement is that anyone who actually truly follows Islam to the letter of the law, a true Muslim, is a fucking ISIS fighter. Like that is the conservative non-conclusion, or that is the conclusion you would come to if you read the Quran, the Hadith, tafsirs, which is why you see so many people from the Western world, these white, kids from the United States, the UK, and France, they sit down, the boss, like Peter Pan's Lost Boys, and then the Muslims bring them in, and they give them the Quran and the Hadith, and they start reading it, and they're like, oh shit, we're supposed to kill the Jews and the Christians, all the disbelievers. We should go cut all their heads off, and we should fucking murk every one of them. But like, when you're raised in like a Muslim household in like, the United States, for example, you read these verses, then you go to your grandmother or your father, and you say, hey dad, or your mom, and you say, hey, real question, are we still the disbelievers? And they go, no, we don't do that, that's end times, and Allah's going to do that, blah, blah, and they just lie to them, they water it all down. And then the reality, most Muslims don't actually practice their religion. So, yeah, when I say that all the Muslims should be wiped out, I only mean ones that actually practice Islam. And if they truly practice Islam, then it's nice fighters. If there's some kid that says, oh, I'm Muslim, but he's like eating a bacon cheeseburger, have sex and drinking alcohol, and he's bisexual, and he's got an LGBT awareness flag and stuff like that, or whatever, or pride. And I don't consider that person a Muslim. The same way with a Christian, when they say, well, look at the Christians that, killed all the Jews or killed all the, the Muslims or like raped little boys and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but if you were to actually practice the tenets of Christianity, there's nowhere in the New Testament that says that you should be banging kids or cutting people's heads off. By the basis of the Quran, the Hadith, and the tafsirs alone, that is exactly what the fucking instruction is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't want to kill a girl wearing a hijab. I don't want to kill anybody. I'm saying like hypothetically parallel universe. But just think that you don't give enough. Yeah, exactly, and that's everybody starts getting oversensitive and fucking kicking off, and you become. Well, here's a differentiation that I make if she would have asked for context. I believe personally, and this is just my opinion. Jews are a ethno-religious group. Christians and Muslims aren't. Muslims that I want to exterminate. I'm only talking about the people who actually practice Islam. So when I say that, my to the letter of the law, that is a true Muslim, for the most part, is a fucking ISIS fighter. When somebody rubs him the wrong way, push back on him. The doubles, triples, and quadruples. If you read the Quran, the Hadith, and the tafsirs, which why you see so many people in the Western world, I was these white kids from the United States and the UK and France, sit down, they're the boss boys, like Peter Pan boys, and then the Muslims bring them in, and they give them the Quran and the Hadith, and they say, and they're like, oh shit, we're supposed to kill the Jews and the Christians and all the disbelievers. We should go cut all their heads off, and we should fucking murk every one of them. But like, when you're raised, you read these verses, then you go to your grandmother or your father, and you say, hey dad, or your mom, you say, hey, real quick question, are we supposed to be killing the disbelievers? And they go, no, we don't do that, that's it.
12:30, where are you? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. No, mate, you were in the room. Yeah, there was a big crash out on something that I'd said, which I never got to really fully explain because everybody didn't like what I said, and that effectively found myself in. I apologized, all right, but that's what happens. People are oversensitive. Pretty sure you were there, Meg.
Um. Okay. There's a couple of rooms. I was in. Was it the one? Where like there was a woman running it. Like a British woman was running it.
British woman? No, it was in Julia's room. Julia?
Yeah. Okay. So it was like the friend room.
Yeah, exactly.
Crash out.
I never crashed out. I don't crash out. I can say things, and then other people can crash out. And I think that's what happened with Of Course. Is that right? Of Course did something, and everybody else crashed out.
Oh yeah, I said that Hitler killed the wrong people. He should have killed the Muslims.
Yeah, I could see how that could become a crash out conversation.
And then the other one that I had was with Roya, where I was saying that the Indians are a bunch of pussies because every time we talk to them about taking back their country, they say they want to take back their country, but then they give us a million and one reasons why they can't and why the IRGC is so strong and that they would all be murdered, destroyed, and they end up just talking about the IRGC, the boogeyman, and like they're the great Satan that can't be defeated.
I mean,
yeah, you'll be a royal impression.
I mean, the IRGC is no joke. I mean, they've bombed the entire Middle East, which that's quite a feat. A bunch of psychos. Ugh. So I can maybe see where that would be.
Like Yulia and Roya were explaining to me, and some of their Iranian friends were saying, you don't understand that when you live in, nobody. I spoke to a guy who's like against the IRGC, who served in Artesh and was a guy that's lived over there for like 50 years and now lives in over here in the West and stuff. But he was telling me, he's like, that's bullshit. He's like, everybody knows somebody who's in the IRGC. It's either their cousin or their uncle or just people know who they are within. I'm not saying every one of them are known, but there's enough of them that are known that if 30 guys wanted to get machetes and meat cleavers in their door, or just jump them in the middle.
He's so stupid. What a weird guy. Oh, she got on that Ozempic. Is it her baby? She's from Newport Beach. She's still working at Google. Don't have children. Nope. Lost a whole bunch of weight. It must have been that Ozempic. Must have been the Ozempic. Damn. Okay, I'm shutting down for the night. This is John for Congress.com. Hope you enjoyed today's live streams. Health, wealth, love, peace, happiness, and strength. God